All right, let me make sure. I have to do this every time. I don't get a chance to do it beforehand. My bad about that. What's going on, everybody on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook? What's going on, guys? About to dive into this conversation right now. Okay. All right. Welcome to another episode of All In with Nate. Last episode was on Tuesday. We got a chance to talk about the first 5 picks in the first round of this draft. Today we're going to cover 6 through 10, and we're going to talk about a couple other things. Mike Thomas said, "Let's go. What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?" All right, we're gonna get started. Before I even get started, I don't know if you all are Bleacher Report followers or you have the application. I just saw where on Bleacher Report, Deshaun Watson told the new head coach of the Texans that he has no intention of playing with the Texans this season. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch this offseason to see what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, because I don't think he's going to stay with the Texans as well. They're adamant on keeping him. I hope they don't try to hold that man hostage, because the Texans are a bad organization right now. This team I don't even think they have a pick until round number 3, to be honest with you. But let's go ahead and dive into this conversation about the draft. Leading off at number 6 on the board is the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Eagles did lose Doug Peterson this offseason, so they're in a tricky situation. You know, they traded Carson Wentz to the Colts. They gave Jalen Hurts the opportunity to start. He had a pretty good rookie year. I know a lot of folks aren't really feeling the way that Doug Peterson ended his tenure the way he entered his tenure in Philadelphia by seating him in the game that could have caused them to win a football game and potentially put the Giants in the postseason. So, you know, he caught a lot of criticism behind that, so he couldn't be the head coach anymore. But you know, there have been different situations for Philadelphia. I've even heard speculation that they could get into a potential opportunity to trade up for Justin Fields or even try to go to number 3. I think that would be crazy for them to consider going into the Justin Fields sweet state or any quarterback, to be honest with you. I mean, give Jalen Hurts a chance. Don't commit to the guy and then sit here and say, okay, well, we're gonna move on from him. But the Eagles got a couple of needs at this position. They need speed at their receiver position, linebacker core needs some help. The entire offensive line, yes, I said the entire offensive line, and a corner. So the reason I said it needs speed at receiver is because, number one, look at their receiving core now. Deshaun Jackson is getting older. Alshon Jeffrey has been non-existent for the last 3 years. And they need a total revamp. I don't know why they took Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. I will still never understand that, because Justin Jefferson sounds very nice in Philadelphia right now. He ended up having a very good rookie year in Minnesota. So I definitely see them looking at a receiver at some point in this draft. That could be their first pick, to be honest with you. So I'm not really sure about that. As far as their linebacking core, they don't really have a linebacking core, to be honest with you. Their linebacking core is not that good. And with their new defensive coordinator, you need to replace that whole group. So that could be another position that they look into in this draft. Also, their offensive line is getting older. I'm sure Jason Peters is going to leave in free agency, or even if he even plays again. So they need to revamp that offensive line. And one of their biggest needs is in that secondary. They need corners bad, because for the last couple of years, that secondary has been awful. They got Darius Slade from Detroit in the offseason. Last year. He played with them last year, but that team is still bad on defense in the secondary. They end up finishing 19th in the league in pass defense, but they gave up 15. They gave up the most plays in the league, last year, of 15 plus plays. That's a lot. It's actually embarrassing. Let's see, Virgil, what's going on, brother? He said they desperately need corners. They've been needing it for about 2 or 3 seasons. I don't know why they haven't addressed it, but that should be one. If I'm them, that might be my first pick, depending on how the board falls. But they could easily go receiver at this spot. But as far as the mock draft, CBS Sports have them taking. Okay, Ryan Wilson has them taking Rashawn Slater, the tackle from Northwestern. I would be surprised to see him get this high. I've definitely seen them jump. I've seen his name jump up a lot in this board. Let's see. Michael Thomas said that the Eagles are old, need a complete rebuild. I totally agree. That Super Bowl team from 3-4 years ago needs to be totally blown up. You need to go ahead and get younger. And let's see, Darius, what's up, brother? He said, I agree with Virgil. I do too. I think they need to get corners bad. Steve Strapasso, another guy from CBS Sports, has them taking Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. It would be, I don't understand that pick because you have Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. Why would you go get another tight end? That makes any sense. I don't care how good he is at tight end. I would go get a tight end at 6. Let's see. Excuse me. The Pete Prisco has them taking. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Let's get a little further on my board. But Pete Prisco has them taking Christian Darrisaw, the offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech. I see them kind of leaning the same way. Walter Football has them taking Kyle Pitts as well. And ESPN has them taking Jamar Chase, which is another guy who I can see them taking. Let's see, Virgil said right on, Mike, they need a total revamp. I agree. That's one of their things they need to really be looking into this offseason. And Zach Ertz is on the trade block, according to Chris Williams. That I understand now, but I still wouldn't take a tight end at 6 when you have Dallas Goedert. So I will hope that they don't look into taking him at 6, but we'll see. Let's see, Virgil Hawkins said I would trade him to get Caleb Fairley. They definitely have been getting consideration to be trading up this draft. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. I don't know. Honestly, Philly could trade up. I can see it. Darius Bailey, what's up, brothers? He said, I think Chase would be a great selection for them. So do I. They don't have a receiving core right now. So adding to that receiving core would be great. Okay, moving on to the Detroit Lions, who's the 7th pick in this draft. They're also in a tricky spot. As you know, they traded Matthew Stafford to the Rams. They got an overhaul for Matthew Stafford. They won that trade hands down, as we know. They got Jared Goff. They're in a tricky position. I think they're going to lose Marvin Jones this offseason. I've definitely seen reports that Kenny Galladay is going to be unhappy, and that's going to be another move that they take at us. That could be another situation to watch out for as well. Also, Danny Amendola is probably going to retire. So that wide receiving core is going to be depleted going into this offseason. I don't know what the new coaching staff is going to look into for the Lions, but that's going to be a huge need. So that could definitely be a pick here for Jared Goff. He's going to need some pass options. Also, another big need for them could be a defensive tackle or defensive end because they may not be able to get Romeo Okwara back at defensive tackle. So they could also look to improving those trenches on both sides, to be honest with you. So I don't know if that could be their pick at 6, but that could be something that they look into in this entire draft. Also, their next pick could either be a right tackle or a linebacker. They definitely need linebackers in. I don't like your linebacking core. I don't know what Matt Patricia was doing up there in Detroit. He actually did a pretty bad job, if you ask me. And also could be looking at a right tackle or right guard. As you know, they got the guard from Philly. They actually overpaid for him in free agency. So this would be a very good spot for them to pick an offensive tackle. Let's see. We go agree. What's going on, Jordan? He agreed with Virgil as well. So do I. I think they need to overhaul it all the way around the board. Virgil said with the 6th pick going back to the Eagles that they can get Pat Surtain or even Jamar Chase. That would be a great option as well. Chris Williams said that the Lions are just trash. Oh, my God, man. Be nice, man. They're going through a lot. Virgil Hawkins said, I'm a Packers fan. I hope they screw it up again. I bet you do. Love Jones, what's going on, my Twitch family? She said, my Detroit Lions. Shout out to you and the Lions. Shout out to all Lions fans tuning in. I appreciate it. Chris Williams said, any pick they will make will be the wrong as always. Give them a chance. And Malik Francois, what's going on, big bro? How you doing, man? He has them taking Ojulari. Interesting that you say that because I'm gonna name off their picks, and on one of those guys actually have them taking Ojulari. If you ever heard of Ojulari, I'm a big Georgia. As you can see, you see the Georgia Bulldog stuff in the background. Azeez Ojulari has actually been creeping up the draft board this offseason, which is crazy to me because honestly, I want him to come back this year, but then he went from being a low first round pick to potentially top 10. I'm intrigued to see how he jumped up the board the way he did. C-Man the Great, what's going on? Twitch family said Bucks Nation. Oh my God, not today, not today. Michael Thomas said the Lions screwed up with the head coach and hire. Um, we'll see. I don't know. I didn't understand that pick either, but we'll see about that. Virgil Hawkins said, yeah, Malik, that would be great for them, and his stock is improving. Yes. Now, like I said, as a big Georgia Bulldog fan, I was hoping somehow, some way he stayed in that second round and maybe my own Falcons could take him, but like he's gonna be a first round pick, which he deserves to be. He's gonna be a very good pass rusher in this league. But the one thing that I'm gonna be intrigued to see, will they try to convert him to a linebacker and potentially say that he's too small? But as far as Detroit, going into Detroit, the mock draft has Detroit taking Jalen Waddle. One guy got him taking Jalen Waddle out of Alabama. That would be a nice fit for a depleted receiving core in Detroit. Chris Trapasso also agrees with Malik that they would take Azeez Ojulari at 7. That would be intriguing because they need some help on that defensive line. Josh Edwards has been taking Jamar Chase out of LSU. Pete Prisco has him taking Devontae Smith out of Alabama. So though everyone is kind of leaning to him taking receiver on CBS Sports. Walter Football has him taking Jamar Chase out of LSU, and ESPN has him taking Devontae Smith out of Alabama. So as you can see, everybody's kind of leaning towards him taking a linebacker. A wide receiver at 7, which they really desperately need. Let's see. C-Man Great said, you think Watson and Russell going to do teams are staying put? I'm actually going to get into Russell Wilson towards the end of this show, so stay tuned to that. Virgil said that him at linebacker would be something to see. Honestly, that would be great for him because UGA ran a 3-4 scheme, and he would actually thrive in that scheme. So that's definitely going to be an intriguing thing to watch. Bryson said, what's going on, brother? He said the Lions are done with. Man, y'all give the Lions a chance. They've been going through it, man. They're going through it. Love Jones said Detroit is notorious for not adding the pieces superstar players need. That's why Barry Megatron retired early. You heard it first from a Lions fan. That's as real as it can get. Great take right there, too. All right, moving on to the 8th pick in the draft, one of my division rivals, the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers finished 5-11 this offseason. They had a new head coach. They signed Teddy Bridgewater, but Teddy was really not that good in Carolina. But I know that a lot of those fans have been looking at them being that could be a potential quarterback spot. Another thing, my draft needs for them that I've written down has been quarterback, tight end, middle linebacker, and offensive line. Also, I want to shout out, I don't know if he's watching, to my boy Jordan Chambers. He's a Panthers fan, so him and I had a conversation about the Panthers as well, just to get a couple of their needs on the board. Let's see. Hold on. Michael Thomas said, I heard C-Mac trade rumors. My only question is why. I know the Panthers aren't in win-down mode and his value won't ever be higher, but sheesh. I heard that as well, but I honestly ignored those reports because they would be crazy to get rid of C-Mac at this moment. You're actually building something right in Carolina. They actually did pretty good in the draft last year. They got Derek Brown and Jeremy Chin. So I wouldn't want to give up on that too soon. I would hate to face these guys 2 times a year, but I'm just being honest with you. C-Man the Great said, boo, oh man, give me a chance. Virgil Hawkins said they know who run the North. Oh man. Those Green Bay Packers. And Chris Williams said they could be preparing to give up the whole franchise for Watson. That would be, let me go ahead and say this before I continue with the Panthers. Leave Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson out of my division. We have enough with Tom Brady. We may just be getting over Drew Brees. I'm not trying to deal with all those quarterbacks in one division at the same time, but it could happen. Carolina has the piece to do it. Going back to what I was talking about, the one reason why I can see them even considering a quarterback is because as quiet as it's kept, Carolina actually has a pretty good receiving core. They got Rob Anderson from the Jets this offseason, last offseason. He was pretty good. DJ Moore's a really talented receiver, and Curtis Samuel's a really good receiver. They got a good receiving core. You got Christian McCaffrey, who we just mentioned above. You got pieces on offense. Joe Brady's a good offensive coordinator, but the thing is, he could want his guy. Yes, they went and paid for Teddy Bridgewater, but who knows? Do you pass up if somehow, some way Justin doesn't go in the top 5, do you pass him up? You can't. I don't see him getting out of the top 10 if he makes it past 5. If he makes it past 6, to be honest with you. But again, that could be another reason. Also, I mentioned tight end. They could definitely look into Kyle Pitts at 8 as well. That could add deeper into their passing attack because Kyle Pitts in that offense would actually be nasty. He would be. Not sure how this really would depend on Teddy Bridgewater. And also, they could take a quarterback in the second round if a Kyle Trask or Matt Jones or any of those guys are sitting there in the second round. Let's see. C-Man the Great said that Bridgewater is not it. I don't know. He didn't have a good year. Jordan Chapman, what's going on, brother? He said, definitely hope Russell Wilson is coming to our division. Oh, my God. Let me just make that clear. Just to touch a little bit into that. One of his trade destinations was the New Orleans Saints. If he goes to the Saints, that's an immediate Super Bowl contender next year. Because him and that offense, even though they're going through a major overhaul and they're going to probably have a lot of guys leaving, they still have enough talent to where that quarterback can take them back and keep them in playoff contention. Let's see. Love Joe said that Chetty is water under the bridge. Be nice. See, Manny, great. You just touched on what I was just saying, that they need to get Mac Jones. Malik Francois said he better stay in Seattle. I know, Seahawks, man. I know. He better stay in Seattle. I agree with you on that. Also, I was looking at the reason I also mentioned the middle linebacker. They lost Luke Kuechly to retirement last year. And as good as Shaq Thompson, those guys are, they need a middle linebacker. I could see them looking at a Micah Parsons here. I don't think he's top 10 worthy, but if you want to add to your defense, Micah Parsons could be a good fit right here. And lastly, their offensive line. They have 4 members of their starting 5 going to free agency. You're not keeping all 4. So why not go after a guy depending on who slips to 8? So touching on that, let's go look. Let's see. Michael Thomas said that they spent their entire 2020 draft on defense. They could possibly outside a quarterback do it again. They're in a great position. Yes, they are. They actually do have a good position, and I think they're doing it the right way. They're taking advantage of the fact that we have Tom Brady and I still had Drew Brees in New Orleans running the division for a while, and they're just getting themselves prepared for post-Tom. That's one thing that I wish that the rest of the NFC South would think about. Get yourself prepared for post-Tom Brady. Tom's not going to be here forever. That Tampa team's not going to stay together forever. Start prepping yourself to be that next team ahead. And then with it being a 17-game schedule and 7 playoff teams, you could be a wild card team. So you never know. But the mock drafts had one mock draft. Ryan Wilson has the Panthers trading in division with the Falcons up to 4 to take Justin Fields. Chris Trapasso has Justin Fields dropping to 8 to Carolina. Josh Edwards has Trey Lance going to Carolina. Pete Prisco has Justin Fields going to Carolina. Walter Football has Trey Lance going to Carolina. And ESPN has Carolina trading up to 3 to take Trey Lance. So everyone is kind of on the Carolina's taking a quarterback wave because I don't think nobody's really feeling Teddy Bridgewater. However, if Justin Fields make it to 8, that'd be embarrassing. Because I really don't understand why he's dropping, why mock drafts have him dropping. If he makes it past Atlanta, I'll be surprised. But that's a conversation for another day. On to the Broncos. The Broncos, they finished 5-11. They got a lot of needs. Number one, not sure how y'all feel about Drew Lock. I don't like Drew Lock. I thought he was going to really be successful coming out of Mizzou. Drew Lock was pitiful last year. He only threw 16 touchdowns and threw 15 interceptions. That's not good for a guy that you want to be your franchise quarterback going for. Also, cornerback is a huge, before I even get into it, that's a great, hey, shout out to Malik, man. I was just about to start talking about corner. Cornerback is a huge need for them because A.J. Bouye only played 7 games. And the rest of that secondary is dismal. They could definitely use help at corner. Right tackle could be another option for the Broncos because Jawan James, I'm sure you guys remember him from Miami. They paid him, I think, one of the highest contracts in the league at the time for right tackle, and he hasn't played in 2 years. And you don't want to continue to pay a guy big money. He's not going to play. Also, the safety could be another option for the Broncos because I'm sure they were going to franchise tag Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons is one of the best safeties in the league. They're probably not going to be able to keep him long term. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But Kareem Jackson definitely could end up being gone. He's a club option this offseason. So safety could be a potential option here. Another thing could be a pass rusher because Von Miller has a $18 million club option. We don't know what Denver's. He has expressed interest to stay in Denver. However, we don't know what's going to happen with that. If he does hit free agency, these contenders are going to go crazy after getting him. These playoff teams are going to go crazy after getting a Von Miller. Heck, if my Falcons were a contender, I want Von Miller on this team. But Von Miller could be a very coveted free agent if the Broncos and him don't work out. Darius Owens seen what's going on, brother. Said they need a quarterback themselves. Yes, they do. They need a quarterback bad. I don't know. I don't really trust Drew Lock, but I also think they could take a quarterback in the second round. Also, that's just another point I want to touch on. I also put that they could go after the defensive end in this draft or even somebody on the front seven, because you don't really have to pay Von Miller $18 million. You got Malik Reed, who came out of nowhere, had 8 sacks and a forced fumble in the absence of Von Miller, and you also had Bradley Chubb, who was a really good defensive end. But okay, let's go into their mock draft at number 9. 3 of the 4 experts from CBS Sports have them taking Micah Parsons out of Penn State. Let me tell you, before I continue, I love Micah Parsons. I wish he could have played this year and had a great year, because honestly, prior to him opting out due to the COVID concerns, I wanted Micah Parsons in red and black. So adding Micah Parsons to that defense with a Bradley Chubb and a Malik Reed would be nasty. Okay, let's see. Tristan Pronto, another guy, has him taking Pat Surtain out of Alabama. That could be a good fit. That fits into their need. Walter Football has him taking Micah Parsons as well. And Pat Surtain is coming off the board to them from ESPN. So that's covering the Denver Broncos. On to everyone's favorite team that you love to hate, the Dallas Cowboys. They're number 10. As you know, the Cowboys was in one of the worst divisions in the league. They finished 6-10. They had injuries with Dak Prescott and arguably one of the worst defenses in the league. That's going to be one of their big needs in this offseason. But another thing they need to look into is their offensive line. Their offensive line, which at one point was the best in the league, but they're getting older. Tyron Smith is turning 30 this year. Tyron can't stay healthy, unfortunately. He's a very good left tackle. He can't stay healthy. Lyle Collins had a season-ending injury at right tackle. Travis Frederick, I don't know if you probably remember. Hold on, let's see. Excuse me. Malik Francois said they are sorry. Skip this topic, man. Be nice. I gotta talk about all 32 teams. Sorry, man. C-Man the Great said that they need another running back. Interesting. You think they need another running back and they got Zeke? That'd be interesting. Okay, let's see. Back to what I was discussing. They could revamp their offensive line at 10 in this draft. They need to protect whoever will be their quarterback. I think it's going to be Dak, but who knows what the Cowboys are going to do. As the great Stephen A. Smith said, that the Cowboys are an accident waiting to happen, so we'll see what happens. Okay, let's go on to Dallas's defense. Man. That was one of the worst defenses in the league this year. If you played the Cowboys and you didn't go for at least 30, you really need to be embarrassed. The Cowboys will be addressing everything this offseason on defense. Before I get into that, Michael Thomas said, thank you. While Russ complained about poor pass protection and listed Cowboys as a destination, maybe the market, who knows? C-Man the Great says Zeke is done. Interesting. I want to see what happens this offseason with him. Love Jones said that Zeke won't take hits for extra yardage. That's interesting. That's an interesting point. I can't disagree with that either. Okay, Yvette George said, I don't know anything about football. Just stopping in to say hello. Hey, buddy, how you doing? I appreciate you stopping in and showing love. That means a lot. Okay, Dallas defense need everything. Where do I start? First, they need looking to get a defensive back. Dallas Dallas is going to probably lose Xavier Woods to free agency, which would make an already bad secondary even worse. They need help all over that defensive backfield. They had a pretty good Trevon Diggs is a rookie. He had 3 picks, so he's a rookie. You want to address that secondary bad. Also, I feel like they need a pass rusher because let's be real. DeMarcus Lawrence, since he got paid, has been a ghost. That man has had 11 sacks in 2 seasons. He's a ghost. They paid him for nothing. Michael Thomas said Zeke is done. That's an interesting take, man. That's an interesting take, man. We'll see. We'll see what happens in 2021. See, man, the Gray said the Cowboys' best defensive player is Alden Smith. Sadly, he might be their best defensive player. That defense is awful. And like last year, DeMarcus Lawrence was their leader in sacks with 6.5. They weren't good at all. But let's get into what their picks are for the draft. CBS Sports has them trading down with the 49ers to take Caleb Farley. Christian Prasso has Penny Sewell, who, as you probably remember in my previous draft conversation, I had him going top 5. Josh Edwards has them taking Pat Surtain. Pete Prisco has them taking Caleb Farley. Walter Football has them taking Rashawn Slater, the offensive lineman out of Northwestern. ESPN has them taking Caleb Farley as well. Michael Thomas said Pat Surtain would help them a lot. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. They need everything on that defense. Malik Francois said that Lawrence is out here still, man. That man is still in stimulus money. He out here getting free stimulus checks every week to do absolutely nothing on the field. But that is my NFL draft talk from 6 to 10. Next week, I will be touching into 11 to 15 as we get closer and closer to all 32 teams. Like I said, I'll touch on all of them. I want to give a shout out to Love Jones and Malik Francois, my Twitch family, who wanted me to touch a little bit on the NBA. So you guys can chime in all you want to and let me know what you want to talk about. I wanted to talk about the Lakers starting off. I know they took a very bad loss to the Jazz last night, but they are dealing with Anthony Davis having a calf injury and Dennis Schroeder's been out with the health and safety protocols. They are still third in the West, though. They're 22-10. They're in the skid right now. I know a lot of folks are probably ready to say, are they in trouble? But, I mean, it's hard to count these boys out. When they get healthy, they're still the defending champs. They just won a championship. I feel like give them a break, to be honest with you. These guys just played an extended playoff run and then had to turn around in December and start the season back. Let's see. Malik first. Okay. C-Man the Great says, stop making excuses for the Lakers. They got LeBron, no excuses. Oh, man. That's a conversation for another day. Let's see. Malik Francois said they had the Jazz play the Globetrotters last night, shaking my head. Chris Williams said, as long as AD healthy, Bron is 6. Agreed. I don't want to put too much stock into that. But and Love Jones is making a solid point that LeBron can't get the shit without AD. I agree on that. You need a healthy AD to win this whole thing. The Lakers are the best team in the league, in my personal opinion, if you have LeBron and AD healthy. But I don't want to put too much into them right now. They are still going to be a threat to come out that Western Conference and win the whole thing. But on the flip side, I'm going to talk about the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz, very, very impressive. Hold on, let's see. Stop it. Clippers versus Nets finals. I can respect one of those two. As long as the Clippers learn how to show up in the postseason, maybe. But I don't trust the Clippers. The Nets, I'm going to talk about them in a few. The Utah Jazz are now 26-6. They had actually won 21 of the last 23 games. Very, very impressive. They've beaten a couple of big name teams this year. They've beaten the Sixers, the Bucks, and the Clippers. They beat Miami, who's kind of underrated. Who's having an up and down year right now. They are very well coached. Before I even touch into this, Michael Thomas is about to say exactly what I just said. The media is comparing the Jazz to the 2014-15 Hawks. The Hawks didn't have a box office MVP candidate like Donovan Mitchell. The Jazz are legit. Yes, they are. The Hawks didn't have an MVP candidate in 2014-15 that year. He is definitely looking solid. Rudy Gobert is one of the best rim defenders in the league. They actually have the second best defense in the league right now. They got the fifth best. They're the fifth best offense in the league. Fourth in offensive rating, second in defensive rating. But let's get a chance to get to see what they look like going forward. They're gonna be fun to watch though going down the stretch. Love Jones, great point. The Jazz went ham after Shaq called out Donovan Mitchell. Yes, they have. They've been red hot since that Shaq comment. That's a great point. Darius Owens said that Marcus Cousins need to be on that team. Man. I don't know what's going on with this Marcus Cousins situation. It kind of sucks for him. I actually wanted to see him thrive in Houston. But, man. Chris Williams said the Jazz are cute in the regular season. That sounds so much like this 2014-15 Hawks. But I do like that team. I like what the Jazz have going for them so far. Again, Kenny Atkinson, if you're not sure if you guys remember, their head coach, it's Quinn Snyder. Their coach was on that Hawks staff that year we won 60 games. But he got a lot of more talent there. So, again, looking forward to see what the Jazz got going forward. C-Main the Great said, let's not start on the Lakers winning in a bubble that no one wanted to be there but the Lakers. Stop it, Nate. I still got to respect the fact they won a title, man. I still got to give them that respect. We'll see what happens this year. Maybe that conversation will be revisited playoff time. Love Jones said that Boogie is done. I hate it for him because I actually like DeMarcus Cousins. So, kind of sucks for him. Let's get into that team that everybody's talking about is going to be the Nets. See, man, the Great said a bubble. Oh, man, get the boys a break, bro. The Brooklyn Nets. Everyone is saying that they're going to probably be the next NBA champs. They're tied for best in the East with the Philadelphia 76ers at the current moment. They are 21-12. Brooklyn's number one in offensive rating, 118.8. They got the most points per game in the league right now. And they are actually shooting 50% as a team. Flip side, one of the issues with the Brooklyn Nets, they don't defend anyone. They're the worst defense in the league. So you have to pretty much put up those points to win the game. That's something they don't want to find themselves running into in the postseason. I respect what KD, Harden, and Kyrie are all averaging over 25 points a game. I think that could be a record if all three finishes in the top. So I'm intrigued. That's what I'm really impressed about is myself and Malik Francois was talking about this off social media. We were talking about the fact that James Harden's on pace to average the most assists per game in his career in the season. He has 11.6 so far. We'll continue to see what those boys look like come playoff time, but so far, so good. Michael Thomas said, what's up with the Boston Celtics? I don't know. I'm shocked that they're actually under 500, to be honest with you. Very shocked to see. Chris Williams is addressing, he said it sounded like a excuse. C-Man said that was a cakewalk last year in the Western Conference. Chris Williams said that the Clippers should have been a chance last year. I'm intrigued to see what would have happened had things not shut down due to COVID. Malik Francois said Durant got to stay healthy for them to win. Without him, they don't stand a chance. I agree. Durant make a major difference for that team at this point. Let's see. Getting into the All-Star game is coming up in Atlanta next week. Number one, let me get this clear. I'm so glad they did let Devin Booker into the All-Star game. It would have been a crime for him not to make the All-Star game. And it's sad that they had to give in over Anthony Davis due to the injury. He should have been in anyways. LeBron even came out and said that he was the most disrespected player in the league this season, which is understandable. The Suns are 20-12 in the Western Conference, right? 2011, I'm sorry. In the Western Conference right now. The guy's averaging over 25 points a game and he's shooting 50%. How is he not being considered in the All-Star race? I'm glad he's there, though. I'm glad he made it there. That Chris Williams said the next players are legit. It's the coaching. The coaches I don't trust. I agree there. I can see that. Love Jones said that KD will not be 100%. Kyrie is going to have a mental breakdown, and Harden is going to take too many bad shots. That is what I fear for the Brooklyn Nets entering the playoffs. They paper-wise, that could be the next NBA champ, but you know how that goes. We'll see how a first-year team actually can click together. But I'm glad Devin Booker did make the All-Star game. He deserves to make the All-Star game in Atlanta. It's going to be, next week? Also, Damien Lillard. Tired of not making him a starter. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for putting this man in the All-Star game. It would have been a crime not to put him in. But in my personal opinion, you should have made the starting lineup over Luka Doncic. Little's averaging 29.6 points a game, 8 assists, and I think he's considered in the MVP race. No disrespect to Luka, but that team is not as good as they were last year. Definitely not as good as they were last year. Let's see. Alec Tucker, what's going on, brother? You got the Hawk talking the Hawks up there. Yeah, man. I'm gonna briefly say this about the Hawks. Well, too far of a talented team not to have a winning record, not to really be making noise. Lloyd Pierce needs to be fired, and I'm gonna leave that alone for that. Malik Francois said, "How does Luka start over Dame with a 15-15 record popularity?" Same reason Yao Ming kept getting into the All-Star game is those certain guys like Jeremy Lin got into the All-Star game. It had those All-Star vote. That's how I feel about that. One thing about the NBA popular vote is kind of weird. So I can see him making it in all the time going forward. Darius Owens said to Steve Nash in the first year of coaching, I'm going to give him a break. I understand that. And Love Jones said that Luka is the popular vote. That is a very, very good point. Very good point. But I do feel that Lillard deserves to be in the starting lineup over Luka this year. And Malik Francois said they need to veto that. I agree. They do need to give that veto. Also, let's see. Chris Williams said John Collins and Trey not getting along, and it's messing up the chemistry. Yes, it is. Speaking of Trey Young, I'm kind of shocked that he didn't make the All-Star game only because it's in Atlanta. But number-wise, I'm going to put it to you like this. Yes, Trey's averaging 27.2 points a game, 9.5 assists, but he's shooting under 40% behind the arc and about 43%. So I can understand why they didn't put him in the All-Star game. I would have loved to see him in there, though, just simply because it's here. Because you usually have a guy from that host city in the All-Star game. Kind of surprised it's not going to happen. We'll see what happens with the Hawks, though. The Hawks are well too young. Let's see. Michael Thomas said, I don't trust the player votes either. Players had him at the 11th best point guards in the East, and Trey has some haters. Man, that Trey Young conversation is a very intriguing. We're going to have that. We're going to get into that in this podcast very, very soon. I would love to have some of you guys on Talking NBA with me about that. Oh, my goodness. Love Joe said his hair looks like cotton candy. It bothers me. Leave Elder Barge alone. Leave him alone. Okay, all right. I touched a little bit on the NBA, but get into the Russell. Hold on, Tevin Ratcliffe said, "What's going on, brother? What's going on, man?" Tevin Ratcliffe said that Harden will chuck as usual. Bitter Rockets fan. Oh man, we've had many conversations about him as well. That he has a great regular season, and the postseason is a whole different guy. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that. But to talk about the Russell Wilson news. Russell Wilson, I'm sure you saw the reports earlier. They first were saying Russell Wilson's camp wanted to get him a trade out of Seattle. We've heard that Russell Wilson have had some issues with the organization. He feel like the offense should be predicated around him. They've had a bad offensive line for a couple of years. The running game has been up and down, but I guess he feel like they don't really respect him and respect what he brings to the team at this point in his career. So it's kind of some friction going on with Seattle right now. I would hate to see him leave Seattle because I feel like they're trending in the right direction. They just need to address that offensive line. I would love to see him stay there. But some of the destinations that they were naming off was the Cowboys, the Bears, the Saints, and I want to say the Jets, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Number one, keep that man out the NFC South. I do not need to see Russell Wilson 2 times a year. Russell is one of my favorite quarterbacks in this league. I would hate to have to hate him in New Orleans. I can't deal with that in New Orleans every year. Can't. Love Jones said karma for that 2-yard line pass in the Super Bowl. That play I still will never understand to this day. It's equivalent to what happened in the Super Bowl with us. I'll never understand him throwing the ball at the 2 when you have Marshawn Lynch. Man, I will never understand that. Jordan Chapman says he needs to stay in Seattle. I want him to stay in Seattle. Dallas doesn't make any sense to me either. Like I said, it will only make sense because of the market. The Jets, I don't know. If he goes to the Jets, are you trying to get draft picks back for him? You're basically trying to get Jamal Adams picks back and goes in another direction. But I would hate to see Russell Wilson leave. Let's see. Michael Thomas says the Saints will either lose Trey Henderson or Marcus Williams. The Saints would officially destroy their current team in future if they landed Russell Wilson. I agree there. I definitely agree there. The Saints are gonna lose a decent amount of players this offseason just because of their situation in the cap room. They are, I think, coming into the offseason, they were 91 million over the cap. So they got a lot of work to do just to get that team under the cap. And to be honest with you, they need Drew Brees to retire to take a lot of that cap hit off of them. Chris Williams said Russ and Sean Payton. Yes. I would absolutely despise that. I would never want to deal with Russell Wilson in the NFC South. Jordan Chapman speaks to my sentiments as well. Keep Russell Wilson out of New Orleans. I agree. But I hope that Seattle situation works out. As far as Deshaun Watson, get that man out of Houston. If he wants to leave Houston, get him out of there. Deshaun Watson actually had a really good year despite how bad they were. I just hope that the Texans do him justice. Get him out of there. Get you some picks for him. You're in rebuild. Because who wants to play in Houston at this point right now? J.J. Watt's gone. You lost Hopkins last year. This was a team 2 years ago who was up 24-0 on the Chiefs in the playoffs. Now they're probably the biggest joke of an organization in the NFL. Crazy. Crazy how 2 years change everything. But, again, we don't know what's going to happen. I'm intrigued to see what the free agent is going to bring to this team. But going forward, we'll be looking forward. Next week, we're going to get into, hold on, let's see, Malik Francois, before I get to the end of it, said that Deshaun is being held hostage. Yes, he is. They are holding him hostage. It's not fair. But we got a chance to talk about teams 6 to 10 next week. We're going to talk about teams 11 to 15 and 16 to 20 in the draft. And now, again, if there are more topics that you would like to see me touch on, we don't know what's going to happen next week in sports, so that could also bring another topic up for me to talk about on here. 16 to 20, like I said, 11 to 20, we're going to talk about next week. But again, I appreciate everybody that's tuned in on all 3 platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Thank you so much. If you haven't got a chance to catch the episodes, you will definitely be able to see it back on all 3 platforms. And again, if you want to appear on the show, let me know. Hit my messages up on any of these platforms. I'm looking forward to it. But until the next time, this is All In with Nate. Thank you so much for tuning in to this show. Y'all have a good one today.